The Village Love, by Ariel Chai. The village where I grew up was a small, idyllic place surrounded by rolling hills and green pastures. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, where neighbors became like family, and where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers. Life there was simple, yet beautiful in its simplicity. Mornings in the village began with the soft chiming of the church bells and the distant crowing of roosters. The cobbled streets would come to life as shopkeepers opened their doors and the scent of fresh bread from the bakery would drift through the air. Children ran barefoot across the village green, their laughter mingling with the songs of birds perched atop the old oak trees. As a child, I spent my days exploring the surrounding countryside, discovering hidden streams and secret meadows. There was a particular tree, a grand oak, at the top of the hill where I often climbed to sit on the highest branch. Looking out over the endless fields that stretched beyond the village, I imagined what lay beyond the hills, picturing bustling cities and faraway lands. 1 o'clock. Evenings in the village had a charm of their own. Families gathered outside their homes, sharing stories and gossip as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. The local pub was the heart of the village, where celebrations were held and friendships were forged over pints of ale and the aroma of roasting meat. As I grew older, I realized just how special our village was. We had a strong sense of community where people cared for one another. We celebrated together, mourned together, and supported one another through the seasons of life. Looking back, I now see how much the village shaped me into the person I am today. 136. It taught me the value of simplicity, the warmth of community, and the beauty of nature. But it also made me yearn for something more, something beyond the familiar. And in the summer of 2010, I found that something more. It was the summer of 2010 and I was 15 years old. School had just let out and I was looking forward to a long, lazy summer. The day stretched before me like an open road filled with possibilities. I spent my time lying in the tall grass. Staring at the sky, letting my thoughts drift with the clouds, I wandered the fields, tracing the trails I had memorized since childhood. I read books under the shade of the old oak tree, escaping into worlds beyond my own. And then, one day, everything changed. That was the day I first saw her. Alice. She had arrived in the village, as she did every summer, staying with her grandparents in the old stone cottage at the edge of town. But something about her presence that year felt different. She was older now, 17, I guessed. Her curly brown hair cascaded down her back, catching the golden sunlight. Her green eyes held a sparkle, a mischievous energy that made her seem untouchable, like something out of a dream. I saw her from a distance, walking into the village store. 2:48. I don't know why, but my breath caught in my throat. Something about her made my heart pound in a way I had never felt before. She was unlike anyone I had ever met. She carried herself with a confidence that seemed effortless, as though she belonged to a different world, one bigger, brighter, and far more exciting than our quiet village. I stood frozen outside, watching through the window as she laughed at something the shopkeeper said. The sound of her laughter, light, musical, lingered in the air. I had no idea then that this summer this girl would change my life forever. I don't know exactly when we started talking. Maybe it was when she wandered onto the village green, watching a game of football that the local boys were playing. Maybe it was when she visited the library where I happened to be returning a book. Or maybe it was pure fate. What I do remember is how effortless. She had a way of making people feel at ease, of making the ordinary seem exciting. We spoke about books, about music, about the difference between life in the village and life in the city. She told me about the bustling streets of Moran, about the cafes where she spent afternoons reading, about the endless lights that made the night feel alive. In return, I told her about the village, the hidden spots I had discovered, the best place to watch the sunset. The stream where the water was always cool and clear. She listened, truly listened, as if she cared about every word. I found myself drawn to her like a moth to a flame, and yet I was terrified. She was beautiful, confident, and full of stories about a world I had never known. And I was just a village boy with dirt on my shoes and dreams I hadn't even dared to voice. Still, I couldn't stay away. As the days turned into weeks, my thoughts became consumed by Alice. I found myself wandering village hoping to run into her. I lingered near the places she often visited, the village store, the library, the riverbank where she sometimes sat reading. But I never spoke first. Instead I watched from a distance, memorizing the way her laughter sounded, the way she tilted her head when she was deep in thought. I was intoxicated by the idea of her, but I was also afraid. What if she saw me as just a boy from the village? What if she was only being kind? So I kept my feelings hidden, locked away in my heart. And yet, every time I saw her, my heart betrayed me. The nights were the hottest. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if Alice ever thought about me the way I thought about her. The summer air was thick with the scent of wildflowers, and the sound of crickets filled the night. I imagined her sitting by her bedroom window, looking at the same stars, lost in her own thoughts. Sometimes I snuck out. I walked to the hill at the edge of the village and sat beneath the old oak tree, watching the stars flicker above me. I wished the courage to tell her how I felt. But as the summer days slipped away, I knew time was running out. Alice wouldn't stay forever. She belonged to the world beyond the village, a world I wasn't sure I could ever be part of. And yet I couldn't shake the feeling that somehow, this summer, this love, was meant to change me. Maybe it already had.